Well, thank you guys for coming. I think we're going to go ahead and get started and let people trickle in. Today's Power Lunch theme is gaining granular visibility with our new line item management tools. My name is Meg. I'm a product manager here at Paperless Parts who worked on these features, and I'm super excited to dive in with you guys today. So, overview of what we're going to be talking about. First, I'm going to walk you guys through what's new, what we built, and why we built it, what the thinking was behind these features. I'm going to give you guys a demo, do a quick walkthrough with some tips and tricks, and we will be sure to save time for a Q&A at the end. All right, so a couple of months ago, we were doing discovery for our next big project, talking to a bunch of shops, and we heard that you guys, every time you got a new RFQ in, were having to manually enter that information into these systems that you were using to keep track of your quotes. So maybe that was Post-it notes, maybe it was Excel spreadsheets or Rails, but you had a need to put these processes in place to make sure that your work didn't fall through the cracks. Even though they were a little bit manual, they maybe introduced some friction to keep up to date. There was a real impact to not having a system to keep track of your work. Many of you said that it was important to respond to every single RFQ, and you might not if it fell below the screen within your inbox because you wanted to maintain those potential relationships with buyers. Or maybe you have these complex review processes where multiple people need to get their eyes on a quote before it goes back to the buyer, and you always needed to be able to tell what needed your attention. We heard that these tasks, the work of keeping track of quotes, was just not that easy to do in paperless. There wasn't a great way to determine the status and owner of every quote or part that you were currently working on just by scanning anywhere in the app. So we thought we can definitely help with that. In the process, we can reduce some manual entry and risk for you guys. And we decided to build this feature set that we call line item management, the goal of which is to help you guys easily track and manage the flow of work through your shop without having to rely on these external spreadsheets or tracking systems. So if you ever ask yourself asking questions like, what are the most important parts for me to quote today? Which parts don't currently have an owner? Which parts or quotes are just waiting for me to review them? What do I need to follow up on? Or even how are each of my facilities doing? And you don't have a quick way to just check. That is something that you can now do in paperless with these new features. And we're going to walk through a couple of examples today. So first, a little bit of an overview of what's new. Most of this has been in the app since the end of May. So I think you guys probably have familiarized yourself with all of the new features, but I do just want to kind of give a high-level tour before we dive in. First thing is you can now assign estimators to both quotes and parts. So you can give ownership to members of your team over either parts or quotes, depends on how granular you want to get. We introduced a new version of the quotes page. So first thing you'll notice is that it looks and feels different, but the reason that it does look and feel different is because we added a ton of data. So you can review your work by quote or by part, and we added a ton more information as new columns. You can see things like RFQ receive date, custom workflow steps if you're a shop that uses those, or facility if you're a shop with multiple facilities. And then finally, we also introduced something called save views. So once we got all this information into the quotes page, we said, that is a lot to look through, and we wanted you guys to be able to narrow down on what was important. Save views are a way for you guys to configure custom dashboards on the quotes page that will help you narrow down on exactly the quotes and parts that you want to be seeing. They're super easy to configure. You can set them up for yourself or your team, and you can create even your own default. So unlike before where you would always kind of land in draft quotes, you can now figure out what you want to see every single time that you go to the quotes page. The reason we're doing this power lunch today, we've done a couple of sessions on line item management, but I really want to focus on this last piece here because I think that getting really good with save views and confident in setting them up, configuring them, that's what really unlocks the ability to streamline the processes that might already exist in your shop today. So I'm going to go ahead and head into paperless here. And please feel free as I'm going through this to throw any questions in the chat. There's a lot that you can do with this feature. So if you're curious, don't hesitate to ask. This is the new quotes page. Again, you guys have been able to play with this since May. So I would normally give a brief tour of this. I'm not going to today. We're just going to go ahead and dive into save views. And I want to start with a very specific example today. So one common use case that we were specifically trying to help out with was we heard from shops that they were creating their own rolling action item lists or rails in Excel, Google Sheets, what have you, just to have a list of every part that they were currently quoting, along with the status of that part and who had the ball for that part. It used to be in paperless, you could only review your work by quote, you could see the status of quotes, but if you're a shop that is doing sometimes 20 line items per quote, sometimes 2 or 3, just looking at the quote level isn't going to give you an accurate snapshot of the work that you're actually doing. And things can still kind of fall through the cracks. You could have a part in a quote that's not assigned to somebody. You could not know that something needs your attention because you're only looking at the quote level. Again, we wanted to give you guys that more granular visibility. So I'm going to go ahead and create just a very rough template of a rail. I'm going to start creating a save view by coming down over here. You'll notice there are 2 different places where you can start creating a save view, either next to quotes. This is going to be to create a save view that's going to show me a list of quotes like the one that I'm currently looking at, or next to line items, which is going to show me my work by part. And to me, that's a little bit more important right now. So create view. It's going to take me to this pop-up window where I can set up and configure my view. So I'm going to call this one my rail. I can choose my share settings. So in this case, a rail is probably something that's useful to more than just me on my team. I want this to be public. I want anybody on my team to be able to review it, to find the part that they're looking for. Just make use of this save view the same way that I'm going to. And then I'm also going to set this as my default view. So I landed on my quotes before because that was my default view. Maybe though the rail is just what's most important to me, I'm going to go ahead and indicate that here. I can choose what to view by. If I made a mistake and I didn't want to see by line item, I could say by quote, but let's stick with line items for now. And then I can choose what order the results are going to be shown in. So I want to see the parts that were created most recently at the top. I want this to kind of be a running list of the quotes and parts that are being entered into the system. So for now, I'm actually going to go ahead and not add any filters. This is where you can configure filters just to narrow down the list of parts that you're looking at. But for the rail, I really want to be able to kind of see all of my parts and then start to work from there. So I'm not going to add any filters. I'm also not going to change the column selection. This is where you can choose which columns you do and don't want to display. I'm just going to go ahead and create just a super base level, show me all my parts in order of when they were created. Okay, awesome. This is a lot of information. I want to be able to maybe see a little bit more of it. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse this sidebar here. Then I can see more columns. And one of the first things that I notice is that maybe I'm not regularly filling out part description. That field just isn't important to me for whatever reason. Or there are other columns here that might be more important, and I want to see those first on the page. I'm going to go ahead and customize my columns. And I'm doing this over here by clicking this button so that I can see the changes as I make them. I personally find that's a really easy way to interact with save views, sometimes a little bit more intuitive. Let me hide part description. Quote number is probably important. I want to see which parts belong together. I definitely want to know who has the ball for each one. So I'll keep estimator in here, and I want to know what's been sent or is still sitting in draft. So I'll keep quote status as well. But maybe it's not that important for me at this level to see the quantities or price or due on those can kind of stay at the bottom, but it is really important for me to know who I'm quoting these parts for, because that's going to tell me how high priority the part is. If I'm a salesperson and I'm already talking to a buyer and I really quickly need to narrow down on the parts that my team is currently quoting for them, I want that information readily available. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that up to the top here. So I'm going to see contact, account, and then when I click apply, looks a little bit different, a little more information right at the front here, more immediately accessible. And I'm also going to see this new blue bar. So it says view has unsaved changes. What that's letting me know is anytime that you're looking at a save view and you make a change just because you want to kind of alter what visually you're seeing while you're in the save view, we'll let you know that this rail save view, the dashboard that you're going to see every single time you come into the quotes page, it has a slightly different configuration than whatever you're currently looking at right now. So I can either choose to reset my view, undo what I just did, and go back to the original rail save view, or I can save these changes and say, actually, no, I want that to apply to the save view. So now every time I come in and I go to this rail save view, account and contact are going to be front and center. What's another good use case for this? So one thing that I also notice immediately is that this part doesn't have an estimator assigned to it, so nobody has the ball. Maybe that's something that I regularly need to be reviewing. If I'm the manager of my estimating team, I need to make sure that there's always a person who is responsible and has ownership for every part that we're quoting. So I want to create a save view that tells me which parts have not been assigned yet. I'm going to go ahead and add two filters. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I want to see only quotes that we are currently working on that haven't already been sent out to a buyer. So quote status is draft. And I also want to see quotes or parts where the estimator is unassigned. So I could select from the list of estimators here, or for this particular use case, I'm choosing to see only parts that don't have an estimator assigned to them. There we go. So now I can see a list of the parts where nobody has the ball for any of these, and that's really important that I do something about that. This is something that I maybe regularly need to access, but it's not the rail, right? It's separate from the rail. It's a different save view or a different kind of question that I'm asking when I come in here. I'm going to go ahead and click Save as New. And what that will do is it brings back up the window. It applies all of the same filters and column selections that you were just messing with while I was actively looking at the rail. And I'm going to say this time, unassigned line items. This one maybe is only relevant to me, so I'm going to go ahead and make it private. And then click Create View. So there we go. Now I have another save view in my roster. If I want to come in and see the rail first thing, I can also then say, well, another part of my job is to make sure that there's somebody assigned to every line item. Just come in and click this view really quickly. I can see, because I'm in a demo account, there are somehow 249 parts that need somebody to look at them, but I can really quickly see the number of parts that need my attention and exactly which ones they are. And if I click on one of them, it'll take me to that part in the quote. So I can also get a more granular look at the line item itself. All right, let's talk through another use case. So maybe you guys will notice that over here we have a lot of custom workflows set up or configured. If you're a shop that uses custom workflows, you probably also have these set up to kind of reflect the processes in your shop. Both Liz and I have to review every part before it goes back to the buyer. It's probably really important for me to be able to tell which parts are just waiting for my review. I'm going to assume that these workflow steps kind of go sequentially. So you're getting your quotes for material, outside services, and then it looks like Liz has to look at it, and then I have to look at it. So I need to know what is just being blocked by me to be sent back to the buyer so that I can prioritize reviewing that work. We can get the quote out as fast as possible. I'm not the person who's maybe contributing to turnaround time and costing us that work. I'm going to go ahead and create another line item view. And this time, let's say parts waiting for my review. This is definitely private. Only I can see and edit. I can't imagine that anybody else wants to know which parts are just waiting on me. And this time, I'm going to go ahead and order my results by due date. So I want to see what quotes or parts that need my review are about to be overdue. That gives me a pretty good idea of what I need to prioritize, especially if my shop is using due date to indicate when things need to get turned around a little bit quicker. All right, so a couple of filters that I'll apply. Again, quote status should be draft. We don't want to see any outstanding quotes in here. And then also, I'm going to go ahead and say Liz review should be complete, but Meg review should be not started. Let's look at the columns again. I do always just think it is valuable to really set these up nicely the first time. In this case, I probably don't need to see workflow steps because I know what their status is since that's what I'm filtering on. I definitely don't need to see quote status, probably line item status. It's probably really good for me to know who the estimator is so that if I have a question about the part waiting for my review, I can reach out to them quickly. Maybe in this case, I don't really need to see process, material, finish. What's more important to me is maybe price and account and priority. Let's go ahead and create view. Parts waiting for my review. There we go. So I know that I have to review 8 line items. I'm currently blocking 8 line items. And if I get these wrapped up, we can send them out to the buyer today or ASAP. One final example of a save view that I want to walk you guys through at the quote level. I think this is a really good example of how sometimes creating save views in Paperless actually allows you to leverage data that you might not be able to access so quickly in Excel or in another system outside of Paperless, is figuring out which quotes you need to follow up on. So if you guys are sending quotes to your buyers and you're not using the last few feature, I would highly recommend taking advantage of it. What this does is it tells you how many times somebody has opened the link to the digital quote and how many unique people have actually opened or interacted with that link. So I want to see which quotes maybe my buyer just might have missed in their inbox. I might have sent them out. I already put in the time and the estimating cost of quoting them, but the buyer themselves just kind of needs a little nudge. They need to be reminded that they need to take a look at it. So I'm going to create a quote level save view. I'm going to say quotes that need follow-up. This one I want to be public. Maybe if you have a sales team with a couple of people on it, you want this to be a resource that anybody can come in and check so they know when they need to come in and call a buyer. I'm going to order results actually by sent on. So that's the date that indicates when the quote was sent to the buyer. Because I want to see maybe which quotes have been sitting and waiting the longest at the top. Those are probably the most important for me to follow up on. And then I'm going to filter on a couple of things. So first I'm going to say quote status is outstanding. So not won, not lost, not still being quoted, has been sent, and I haven't heard anything back yet. And then there is this date last viewed option. So that's going to tell you when is the time when somebody most recently looked at it. We actually have the option for you to select never. So you can say date last viewed is never. Nobody has ever looked at or opened up this quote. And then again, in this case, let's just put account and contact right at the top. That is super important. You definitely want salesperson. Certainly don't need workflow steps. Let's remove a couple of these. Oh, good to know how many line items are in the quote. That's the count of line items in each quote. And when it was created, received, due, you do want to know sent on, and that actually should probably be more visible. So let's move it up here. All right, and then create view. So there we go. Now my team has a resource going forward where they can tell that there are 2 quotes that are waiting for them to, waiting for the buyer to get back to them. All they need to do is maybe reach out, give Dakota and Pete a call, and ask if they have gotten the quote yet, if they had any questions about the price, the lead time, why they maybe haven't responded. So those are all the examples I'm going to go through today. There are a couple of other ways that I think you can really use this to support internal processes. Even if a view is private or if you're just messing around with filters, the URL will actually contain your filters and your columns. So if you're maybe looking at your rail and you say, I actually want to see all of the quotes that belong to this specific estimator, Alex, and you need to share this view with her for whatever reason, if you grab this URL, you send it to her, when she pastes it into her browser, she's immediately going to see exactly what I am looking at here. So that's a really easy way to share information between teams. Another thing is we've heard from shops that they have these review meetings with multiple team members across different parts of the organization. Sometimes you're reviewing a list of quotes with somebody who doesn't have an account in Paperless, and you don't necessarily want them to see all of the data that's in Paperless. So you're not going to give them a seat in the platform, but you don't want to have to manually create a spreadsheet of quotes or parts for you guys to review every single week, maybe even every morning, however often you're doing it. One really nice thing about this feature is also that you can download a CSV of the results that you are currently looking at. So that might be downloading the view itself. If I download that, that's always going to give me the results for the rail view. Or in this case, I applied another filter to it, I can just really quickly download the current results. And the same is true with search. So if you apply a search term, you get a narrowed down list of maybe parts that meet that result. Maybe let's see, parts that start with this prefix, there's only 8 line items. You can download just those current results to a CSV. That is maybe a way that you can review some high level information with your team without having to manually keep a spreadsheet up to date. Because unlike Excel, anytime that a part or quote changes status in the platform, it's going to move between save views depending on what your filters are. And that means that you don't have to do the additional manual task on top of actually finishing your quotes and sending them out of changing the status of a quote in a spreadsheet. It's a to-do list that automatically updates for you. All right, so let's come back to slides here. That's all we had today. I do want to leave some time for questions. I know we're at 12:20, but if you guys have any, you're welcome to drop them in the chat. I'll stick around for a minute to answer them. And thank you all so much for attending. I hope this was useful. If you have any questions about the feature, please always feel free to reach out to support your CSM if you have one, or to me. This is my email. I'm always happy to hear questions or feedback if you've been using it, and there are some things that you would maybe like to see that would be helpful to you. We love to hear that from you guys.